Welcome back to another edition of Sports Junkies. Time to talk a little off-season baseball, hot stove baseball, something like that. He is Greg Giesen of the Racing Journal-Times. I'm Steve Sparky Fifer from the Wendy's Big Show. Weekday afternoons from 2 until 6 on Sports Radio 105.7 FM, The Fan. We'll start off with the little Brewers. We will get into the Cubs. Obviously, I know there are a lot of Cub fans that live in Racine, Kenosha area.
Why?
Why do they live here?
Why do they follow? I mean,
well, okay.
Each their own.
Adam Lind, the latest to end up with the Milwaukee Brewers in a trade for Marco Estrada. Lind will be the first baseman. Will he be everyday first baseman? Don't know because he's brutal against left-handed pitching. Not the best defender either. Is he that much of an upgrade over Mark Reynolds and Lyle Overbay when you're paying him $7 million a year?
Yes. Because it is a right-handed dominated division. Mm-hmm. He does hit well. He hits better than both of them. He hits for average. He hits for power.
275, 280.
Yeah, I mean, he's had years where he's been above 300.
Sure.
He does have injuries, and he has injury issues. Okay, that's fine.
He works counts, takes pitches.
Yeah, he does the things that everyone was complaining that the Brewers didn't do last year. Okay, you put him in there. The other two guys weren't doing that at all.
Right.
And, okay, you may have someone that has some pop. You could have someone who's hitting in the 260, 270 range. Even if you have to platoon a little bit, okay, I'm all right with that. That is a big upgrade from someone who's hitting 220. He may give you some power, but the drain on the average and getting on base, no. I like it. Defensively,
the platoon at first base is going to be with Jonathan Lucroy, it looks like. It looks like they're going to get Maldonado more time behind the plate, and Lucroy will be the guy that'll be at first base against lefties. That's how I think this is going to play out. How Lucroy deals with it, I have no idea. I can't imagine he'll be all that excited about it, but he'll still get to have his bat in the lineup every day and play every day. And Maldonado will get more time to catch, which should get his bat being a little bit more consistent as well. And I like my Maldonado, how he works with the staff, his ability to throw out runners, all that stuff.
Here's the beauty of it. You have a wonderful offensive product in Lucroy. Mm-hmm. You get his bat in there all the time, plus it's less demanding when he has to go over to first base. As long as he can play first base reasonably well and he's comfortable playing there. Because sometimes, you look at the experiment last year with Joe Maddon. It took him over a month to get to the point where he defensively could play first base reasonably well and was driving people nuts. If Lucroy isn't at that level, wow, that's great. Put him there. Get him some rest on days where he needs a rest. You still keep the bat in the lineup. You save Lynn from having to face left-handers. That's a win-win. That is by far better than anything that they've had there since Prince Field.
Yep, I agree 100%. The other thing that people are talking about, Jonathan Lucroy doesn't win the Gold Glove. Yadier Molina does. Yadier Molina only played 110 games. And everybody will point at, well, he had the second-best fielding percentage as a catcher. And that's fine. This is my argument. Yadier Molina last year proved the myth to be a fact, and that is his importance to that pitching staff was proven hands down. ERA of what they did as a pitching staff compared to what they did with Yadier Molina was not even close. That's the first thing. The second thing is Jonathan Lucroy has to get better at throwing out runners. He was at 26%. Yadier Molina was at 46%. That's a 20% difference over the course of a season. I don't care how many games he played. You have to get better at throwing out base runners if you're going to win a Gold Glove. Because if you're going to ever supplant Yadier Molina, who's won 7 straight, you have to be way better than Yadier Molina to win that over his reputation.
He's just better. I mean, like you said, you look at the Cardinals in general. Now, offense isn't supposed to come into this. It used to, but it doesn't anymore, or name recognition. But you look at the Cardinals when Yadier Molina was in there, and you look at him when he wasn't. And that was a different team.
Sure.
And when they made their run, it's when Yadier Molina got back there. Yadier Molina was healthy. Right. No one was going to run on him. The pitching staff got better. Yep. Everything was better because he's there. Look, Brewer fans may not like Yadier Molina. Matter of fact, no one in this NL Central may like Yadier Molina.
He's a Hall of Famer.
But he is an amazing catcher. And there's nothing you can say against the guy on the field.
I agree. He's definitely a Hall of Famer for sure. And Lucroy had a great year. Not knocking Lucroy, but everybody's getting all upset that Lucroy should have won. I just don't agree with it. Now, let's go to the other team.
I'll say this. Does he really even care? It's an award. So what? I mean, the point I'm saying is that, okay, look, he didn't get the Gold Glove. Yes, Gary.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, it's an award.
Right.
He wants to win ball games. That stuff is just icing on the cake. In my mind, he's probably looking at like, yeah, so what?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Gold Glove is a pretty cool notch to have in your belt as a baseball player for sure. Let's go to another team, the Chicago Cubs. And they go and they get a manager in Joe Maddon. Renteria had Larry Drew done to him, essentially. So out he goes as manager of the Chicago Cubs. And in comes Joe Maddon. Joe Maddon has his press conference at the Cubby Bear. That's a bar, folks. He started out the press conference by having a couple sips of Guinness. To start off the press, I've never seen a manager drink at a press conference before. At the end of the press conference, after he had said some crazy stuff, like they're going to be in the playoffs next year and all this other stuff, and again, he had a couple beverages, so that's fine. But then you say to the media, first one's on me. Then you leave that bar to go to another bar, a couple bars away, and the fans are chanting, let's go Joe, let's go Joe. Man, this man's a rock star right now. Case closed, he's a rock star in Chicago. Let's see what happens. But that was, by far, the best thing I've ever seen as far as a managerial press conference.
He is the people's champion.
Dude,
that's phenomenal. And that's what this team needs, more or less. Because you look at what's happened since they were competitive about 10 years ago.
With Sosa.
Right. No, not with Sosa, but when you had Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood,
right.
When you had that team that lost to the Marlins because of, Mosey Zalu didn't catch the ball. Let's just stay with that. And Alex Gonzalez.
Bartman.
Well, no, Alex Gonzalez didn't catch the ball either.
Bartman. Okay,
Whatever.
Go ahead.
Anyway, that team has seen attendance kind of start to go down.
Oh, wait, it'll come back.
It'll come back.
They've got the players.
They have the players. They have young talent. They're going to go out and get some pitching. Is it possible that they could contend next year? Well, look at this division.
I think they're a 500 team next year.
That's not that far off. Yeah, that's
right.
not far off from competing.
Now, it depends how many pieces they get. Because there's talk they're going to go get Russell Martin, a catcher. Mm-hmm. So that helps. Now, if you go get, say, 2 pitchers. Say you get...
Which they're going to need.
Okay, right. But say you go get Shields and Cole Hamels for the front of that rotation to go with all the young hitting that you have. Mm-hmm. I said it when they brought in Theo to run that organization from Boston. I told Rami Makloff, who is a Cubs fan, Bears fan, Bulls fan on our big show in Milwaukee, the day they made that announcement, I told Rami they are going to win at least 2 World Series with Theo. And he said, oh, please don't jinx us. Just don't. And I said, I'm telling you, Rami, this guy is brilliant.
Yeah.
And what he has done over the last few years is signing guys to 1-year deals. They work out. He trades them for prospects. Had no intention of keeping the guy anyhow. And continues to build this farm system. Now, I think this is a better farm system coming up than what the Brewers had with Fielder and Braun. There's more of them at a higher level than what they had.
Let's say this is probably the best farm system the Cubs have seen.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Probably since they brought up Banks and Santo.
If you're a Cubs fan,
you have not seen anything like this,
right? And now you got a manager that managed with a pretty much no money on the payroll, bunch of young kids, got in the playoffs year in and year out in Tampa. Now you're going to give them more young kids, but with a bunch of money to back those young kids up.
Bunch of money to bring in pitching.
You're going to get a World Series.
When you look at Tampa, when Joe Maddon was there, you had David Price, you had James Shields, now you have Matt Moore. You had young pitching. It was great pitching, but you knew it was going to go. You knew it was going to leave. If they bring in John Lester, which is altogether possible,
or Shields,
or Hamels, or any of those guys, if they bring in 2 of them, and they have Arrieta,
Max Scherzer is another guy from the Tigers we're talking about.
Scherzer, they can bring him in. You bring 2 of those guys in. You have a number 1 and a number 2. You take Arrieta, who's your number 3.
He's really good as number 3.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you're sitting there they're better than the Pirates pitching staff.
Yeah.
They're better than the Brewers pitching staff.
Yeah.
And they're on par with the Cardinals pitching staff.
I think they'd be better.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on Waka comes back and such, and you see how it goes. But, oh my gosh. And this was what the plan was. And everyone sat there. They're not winning. They're getting rid of Tony Campanis and all these other. No, they knew what they were doing. And they're getting it together. And I told every Cub fan I know, give them 5 years.
Yes.
Because you're going to be really happy. Oh, no, they're getting rid. No.
And then on top of it, Greg, They're redoing that dump Wrigley Field. So once you redo that, you're going to be able to generate even more revenue than you are now from that, because that whole area is going to be redone kind of like Fenway. You're going to get actual digital billboards. Oh my God, digital billboards! Welcome in, Cub fans. So all of that's going to get done. That's going to make them more money and more money to spend.
I argued with a Cardinal fan, and they said, well, oh yeah, what's the big deal about the hotels and the walkway and the billboard? I go, you don't get it.
Nope.
That's money.
That's
money. Money that's going to allow you to sign. Well, what's the big? I said, just watch.
Yes.
You bring the young guys up. When it's time to go sign someone,
they're going to go get them.
They're going to get them. No and question. They're going to have the money to do it like the Tribune Company never had.
Yep. It's going to be fun. As a Brewers fan, I'm ready to cry. Because, the Brewers really only have next year. That's it.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's going to be the Cubs. And I don't know how they're going to be able to contend. He is Greg Giesen of the Racine Journal-Times. I'm Steve Sparky Fifer of the Wendy's Big Show, weekday afternoons on Sports Radio 105.7 FM The Fan. Enjoy the rest of your day here at RacineSportsZone.com. Bye-bye.